Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I am streaming to you from Central Europe. I hope everybody is having a great weekend so far, and I see lots of students in class already. Hi Manpreet Kaur, hi Pachu, hi Tainer Singh, hi Tobithu G, Mamtaz, good to see so many of you ready for this class presented to you by aehelp.com for academic version of the test and for the general module. Check us out at gieltshelp.com. On both of those websites, we have 6 original practice exams with audio for the listening, reading, and speaking sections, as well as over 100 hours of video lessons and a fully interactive course with over 400 slides of strategies, tips, and instructions. This is the academic version of the website. Click that big red button to join us there. This is the general version with the green background. Click that red button to join us there. Hi Zena, hi Annie, hi Mona, and Haung. Good to see you in this class as well, one of our members. If you have questions about the exam or our products, email me, Adrian, A-D-R-I-A-N, at aehelp.com. All right, students, this is our last class for this week. And then we pick up classes next week on Wednesday, Central European Time at 15 o'clock. All right, today we are focusing on speaking part 3. For those of you that are new to the exam, speaking has 3 parts. Part 1, you have about 5-6 easier questions on some general topic, usually about you, like do you play sports? What are your hobbies? Then part 2 is a cue card. It's a card with about 5 questions that you have to give a little presentation on. You have 1 minute to prepare, 2 minutes to speak. And then comes part 3. Part 3 is more challenging, although part 2 is quite challenging because the format is unusual. Part 3 is a conversation style question and answer session with lots of detailed questions, follow-up questions about some specific information in the world, not necessarily aimed at you, but using your knowledge instead. So the examiner will say that is the end of part 2. Now we will continue with part 3. For part 3, I will ask you some questions related to the topic of part 2. And that means that you have to connect your ideas between part 3 and part 2. So pay attention to that. Students, this is a speaking class, so make sure to speak. Okay? That means repeat questions and answers at home, okay? So, or wherever you are in this beautiful world of ours. So speak nice and loud, okay? Dr. Mazin Salah took the words right out of my mouth, nice and loud. It's good to hear yourself. Speaking loudly uses what's called multiple sensory integration, which means using the muscles of the tongue, the auditory centers of your ears, and of course using your eyes to see the text up here as well. So multiple sensory integration is a fantastic way to master knowledge and improve your skills. All right, students, let's get right into this beautiful part 3 here. Let's talk about time. Here we go. So the examiner will see these questions. Of course, you do not see the questions. Here we go with the first one. Let's get going. Why is it important to be on time for appointments? Why is it important to be on time for appointments? Sanjita, speak lots, write less. Use more of your time for speaking. So why is it important to be on time? Sumit, there's no specific time limit. in part 3 of speaking. You just have to give a complete and clear answer, which usually means answering, explaining, and giving an example. Prince Sadiq Sandrani, this class is for IELTS Speaking Part 3, for those of you joining in, while we wait for some good answers. If you're over speaking, if you're speaking too much, the examiner will just cut you off. Also, if you go off topic, they'll cut you off. Okay, they need to ask you at least a few questions during that 15-minute interview. All right, hi, I'm Arjeet. Still waiting for those answers. So why is it important to be on time? If you can't come up with an answer fast enough, you need to start speaking. You need to say, that's an interesting question. Please allow me a moment. Okay? Pachu says, it is important to be on time for appointments because important information and missing the job. All right, Pachu, you're using the question, which is good, but your answer is grammatically wrong and confusing. So you're at about a band 5 if you say that. Rahul Kamodia says, to be on time is more of a personal character. Being on time shows punctuality and seriousness for people and subjects. Rahul, that's quite good. Don't use your, okay? And you are closer to a band 7 with that. Quickly slip an example in there. I always arrive to my university classes 5 minutes early to show the teacher or professor that I'm serious. And then, Rahul, you're right up there at a band 9. All right, Renu Khatri says, it is always punctual to be on time. Renu, that doesn't make sense. Punctual means to be on time, so you can't use those two together, Renu. It's confusing. Students, don't use the word you in your answers. Avoid that when possible, okay? Because you're not talking to your examiner. You're expressing a general idea, okay? Satisfying Time says, in order to be successful, individuals need to be exact and on time as part of their character. Why? Satisfying Times. Why would be my immediate question there. So make sure to include that into your answer. Hung says, well, it is not only to get the trust of others, but it makes people appreciate their schedules. For example, I am always on time, so my friends trust me and like to go out with me. Hung, okay, good. I like how you slipped that example in there. That was great. It is a very good part of character. It is a very good character trait to be punctual because it shows others that a person is both reliable and serious about regarding their appointments. For this reason, I always make sure to get to my uni classes 5 minutes before they start. Okay, so there is a great answer for that. We're using some paraphrasing. Of course, to be punctual means to be on time, okay? So repeat after me. Speak nice and loud, students. Nice and loud, okay? Here we go. It is a very good character trait to be punctual because it shows others that a person is both reliable and serious regarding their appointments. For this reason, I always make sure to get to my uni classes 5 minutes before they begin. All right? So, make sure to answer, explain, example, Paraphrase means if you know the word punctual, use it. Okay? Don't use the word you. All right? There's a couple reasons for that. I'll explain it in just a minute. I'll read a couple more examples. Dr. Mazin says, actually it reflects the integrity and personality of a man in order to obtain the appreciation of people around them. Dr. Mazin, same thing. Don't use you, okay? Manisha says, it is crucial to be punctual for appointments. As it is always said, first impression is the last impression, not expression. I think impression, Manisha, is what you're going for there. Being late for appointments can lead to disappointment for people who are waiting. Very good. So you gave a little bit of the opposite. If people are not on time, nice. Okay, Amarjeet says, being on time for appointments is a habit which provides more opportunities for people, especially in professional fields. Jakirul Amin says punctuality is a kind of weapon by which a person is able to obtain priority from others rather than being a disappointment. Jakirul, I took your information, I changed it a fair bit to make it more natural and more clear and accurate. So take a note, 11 minutes, 30 seconds. You can check out how I did that in the video. Write it out so you know the better way to express that same concept using mostly your words. Okay, Jakirul? Otherwise, that was quite good. All right, Alvina and a couple others, some good answers there as well. So let's talk about this a little bit because I see it so often and it's not good. Okay. Avoid the word you in the IELTS exam, both in speaking and writing, except for general IELTS Task 1 letters. Okay? The only place that we really should see the word you or yours in the IELTS exam is the general IELTS Task 1 when you're writing a letter to your friend or your neighbor. Then, of course, you can use the second person voice you. Otherwise, don't use it. Okay? Don't use it because. Okay? Number one, you don't know your audience. So you can't speak directly to them. Okay. Number two, it is rarely used in academic and professional writing. And very importantly, there is a third reason. Using you in speaking will often lead the speaker to confusion, redundancy, and an overall lower level of communication. So, that's a very good piece of advice for those who do business in English as well. When you're doing business in English, you have to be very selective of the word you. I'm using the word you lots in my teaching, but that's because I'm teaching you, the students. I know my audience. I know that you are learning for the IELTS exam. So when I know my audience, I can use it. Reba, good question. Reba James says, can we use we instead of you or us? Nope. No Reba. No we, no us. So that's a good question. Avoid we and us as well. And our. As these are inclusive of you. Okay? So we tried to avoid all of that confusion, all right? Believe me, practice avoiding 2 words in your speaking and writing, and I guarantee your band scores will go up and your overall quality of communication in your everyday life will improve as well. So avoid 2 words. You and things. And yes, that includes the word stuff and something and sometime, okay? All of those ambiguous words. Yeah, them is okay, Sharik, in some contexts because that's a different pronoun, okay? So avoid 2 words, you and things, in your speech and writing. This way, not only will your IELTS scores improve, but also your everyday communication. Okay, so heed that warning. All right, let's get at this a little bit more. So one more time, repeat after me. Why is it important to be on time for appointments? It is a very good character trait to be punctual because it shows others that a person is both reliable and serious regarding their appointments. For this reason, I always make sure to get to my uni classes 5 minutes before they begin. Now, part 3, you get follow-up questions. And this could be your follow-up question. What can help to make sure people are on time? So uni Balaji means university. It's kind of an Australian expression. Uni, you'll hear Australians and New Zealanders, I think in the UK as well. We tend to say university in the US, Canada, but we understand it, okay? All right, so follow-up question. What can help to make sure people are on time? It's a good one. Don't be surprised if you get that kind of a question coming right after. Renu says, I believe that there are many which can help people to be on time. For example, put the appointment online on an online calendar, a reminder on the phone, write down the task in a diary. Okay, Renu, let me correct a little bit. Okay, this is Renu Khatri. I believe there are many tools which can help people to be on time. Renu, you have a missing subject there. There are many tools which can help people to be on time. For example, putting the appointment into an online calendar, or setting a reminder on a mobile, as well as writing it down in a day planner. It's not a diary, Renu. It's called a day planner. Okay, and that's for everybody, day planner. Satisfying Time says technology offers us, again, Satisfying Times, us is okay. I would say people, okay, or individuals. So technology offers people advantages when it comes to scheduling. Nowadays, there are many apps specifically for organizing and notifying people about their appointments. For instance, IELTS pre-app Keep. I'm not sure what that is, but sure. Reminding about the speaking test date for the last 10 days. Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. I see the end there. All right, Arun Mala says, as I mentioned above, it makes aware about the behavior seriousness of the field. For instance, who are in time on their work. It reflects their passion, discipline towards their work. Arun, I think you missed the intention of this question. Be very careful about that. If what you say is incoherent, your mark will go down. Arun, at this point, that would be scored a band 4.5 at best. Be very careful. Alvina says, well, it is crucial to inform people about appointments by emails and messages and to provide correct and detailed information, also to warn what happens if they arrive late. Sure, Alvina, I guess that makes sense, more or less, for that question. Okay. Juan Pablo Avila says, when people are used to being late for appointments, a good trick could be dating them 15 minutes before. If there's confidence, a phone call can help make sure that a person is on their way. Juan Pablo, good. I, again, did some corrections in real time there. So take note of that. All right? So, yeah, there's some good concepts there. One way to approach it is behavioral, right? Such as setting an early alarm. Another way to approach answering this question, of course, is by using tools. So, individuals can use modern tools like Google Calendar, which is a piece of software that can record and remind of appointments, as well as traditional pen and paper wall calendars or day planners. Furthermore, paying attention to behavior such as setting alarms 15 minutes prior to an engagement can ensure that a person is prompt. Okay, so I'm, of course, teaching you vocabulary. I'm pushing you for those higher levels of English. Don't be discouraged. Of course, I don't expect you to produce this language right off the bat. However, I do hope that you learn it and you pay attention to new vocabulary. Write it down, define it, remember it, practice these, okay? So, repeat after me. What can help to make sure people are on time? Individuals can use modern tools like Google Calendar, which is a piece of software that can record and remind of appointments, as well as traditional pen and paper wall calendars or day planners. Furthermore, paying attention to behaviors such as setting alarms 15 minutes prior to an engagement can ensure that a person is prompt. All right? I know that's advanced English. I know you know that. You can get there. Just keep practicing, okay? Make sure to repeat, speak nice and loud. If it's a little bit fast for you, no worries. This is a recorded live session. You can follow along right now, come back to it later on in the day or in the week, and just repeat these parts, okay? All right. Sumit Karla says, Sir, I received information that examiners are interrupting speaking candidates. Is that true? Yes, absolutely. If you are not fluent, if you're lost for words, if you're going off topic, if you're over speaking, those are all reasons that examiners may interrupt you, Sumit Karla. So you have to make sure that you don't do those mistakes, or you don't make those mistakes. Okay. Amarjeet, I love your answer, so I'm going to read it before we go to the next one. Amarjeet Singh says, according to me, a wristwatch is one of the most helpful ways which makes people punctual for meetings. Yeah, because it's on their wrist in front of them, right? So, and I see your example. It's good. Next question. Let's move that to the next page. How has keeping track of time changed in the last few decades? So how has keeping track of time changed in the last few decades? Okay, give me a nice answer to that if you can connect among your answers. All right? So give me a nice one for that. How has keeping track of time changed in the last few decades? Okay. Stanislav, welcome from Poland, our neighbors to the north here. I'm in Hungary currently. All right. Renu says, in the last 10 years, keeping track of time has been improved a lot due to technology. Renu, a lot is 2 words. Okay. Satisfying Time says, in the last decade, people used to know the time by the sun and the moon. However, its accuracy wasn't perfect, and therefore we developed the modern wristwatch. Satisfying Times, I think you mistake the word decades for millennia. The solar dial, as it's called, or the sundial, sorry, I should say sundial. So when you have that stick in the ground and it casts a shadow and you adjust it to north, south, east, west, that is called a sundial. But that was millennia ago. I mean, we still use it for fun, but not really to track time anymore. All right. Tayinder Singh. The time recording mechanism has totally changed. In former years, time was recorded with the use of sand watches as water clocks, but nowadays time is recorded different. Okay, I think I need to give you a little bit of vocabulary here, students. So, Tayinder, that's called an hourglass. Okay. A glass filled with sand to track time. Okay. Water clock is okay. That was, you got that one right. Okay, that's fine. And also sundial. One word? Yeah, sundial is a clock using the sun. Okay. Wristwatch. A clock on the wrist. All right. So keep those in mind. All right. That's just a little bit of vocabulary there for you. There are some good answers. I like how several of you recognized the present perfect in the question. That's really good. Few decades means 20, 30 years. Okay, it's 20, 30 years. It's not more than that. So don't overdo it. We're not talking centuries or millennia. So knowing the correct time has greatly changed the way of knowing. It's a little bit clearer. The way of knowing the correct time has greatly changed over the past 20 or so years. At the end of the, let's just keep it a little bit clearer and more accurate, and make sure to connect among your ideas. As I mentioned, people used more traditional methods in the past, such as a wristwatch or a wall clock. But these days, digital tools like mobile phones and computers are much more common. In fact, I haven't worn a wristwatch for at least 10 decades because I always check the time on my phone. Okay? So again, you do have to be fluent. Make sure you stay on topic. If the examiner cuts you off and you know what you're saying is correct, you can just finish your sentence. All right? So here we go. Repeat after me. Here's the question. How has keeping track of time changed in the last few decades? The way of knowing the correct time has greatly changed over the past 20 years or so. As I mentioned, people used more traditional methods, especially in the past, such as day planners, wristwatch, or a wall clock. But these days, digital tools like mobile phones and computers are much more common. In fact, I haven't worn a wristwatch for at least 10 decades because I always check the time on my phone. Now, to say an answer that is this long, definitely you need to be fluent, okay? You can't say this over the course of a minute. You have to be able to say this over the course of 15, 20 seconds. If you can't, keep it shorter, okay? Keep it shorter, all right? All right. Yeah, not 10 decades, sorry. I haven't been, Sukrab says, 10 decades? Yeah, I haven't been around for 100 years, Sukrab, so thanks for catching that. Yeah, 10 years. I'd be a very young-looking 100-year-old, absolutely. All right, so here comes the follow-up question. How do you think it will change in the future? How do you think it will change in the future? Pay attention to will. Juan Pablo, definitely not. Students, if you think I'm making a mistake, call me on it. I'm nowhere near perfect. No one is. Perfection is just a fleeting illusion. All right. Answer this question. Focus on it. How do you think it will change in the future? Keeping track of time. Balaji DJ, no, you can use advanced English for correspondence, especially if it's for a colleague or a boss or something like that. So pay attention for whom you're writing the email. Kishan Kadka says, well, definitely such kinds of digital change will be one of the great ones in the future. What do you mean, Kishan? Sagar Nupain says a smart clock is already, well, that looked kind of interesting. I'll go back to it in the chat. So Sagar Nupain says a smart clock is already introduced like Google Clock. I think this will continue to evolve in the next 30 to 40 years. Sure. Heba Ahmed says, I think it will change a lot as many objects in the human world. For instance, the bed might wake people up. Okay, yeah, built-in clock in the bed. That's an interesting concept, Heba. Nobody's done it. You might want to start thinking about that as a business plan. It's not bad. A bed that kicks you out of bed at 8 a.m. Kind of just catapults you. All right, Sanjay Parmar says, well, as for the future, the method of timekeeping will become more advanced. There will be a high level use of technology. Like what, Sanjay? Be creative. Yung Chung Min says, track of time may change, like we can even see time within our mind without using a tool. Yeah, possible. Some kind of cranial implant, Yuncheng. Absolutely. Not a bad idea. Reba says, I think there will be invisible clocks or some mini robot that will remind people of time. Yeah, okay, there's some clever ideas there. So let's take one of those. Certainly, I would do it like this. Certainly, as technology develops in coming years, so will the method of tracking time. I'm not too sure in what ways, but I could imagine glasses and sunglasses with built-in clocks that are transparent. Okay, so yeah, using a bit of creativity, certainly, very good. Here we go, repeat after me. How do you think it will change in the future? Certainly, as technology develops in coming years, so will the method of tracking time. Hint, hint, students, this is a really good sentence here. Now, it doesn't mean everybody should go and copy it the next time, but you can practice this. It's a useful expression, okay? So as technology develops in coming years, so will whatever you're talking about. So when you have this question of change in the future, most often we live in the age of technology and information. You can use this kind of a sentence. Certainly, as technology develops in coming years is a nice paraphrase for in the future. So will the method of tracking time. I'm not too sure in what ways, but I could imagine glasses and sunglasses with built-in clocks that are transparent, right? Like the Google glasses, I believe they're called. All right, good job. Let's go to the next question. What are the problems caused by arriving late to scheduled events? Okay, give me a nice full sentence answer for this one. What are the problems caused by arriving late to scheduled events? All right, I'll read. Satisfying times. I think you're preloading these, if I'm not mistaken. Your answers are coming really fast. Satisfying times. But that's okay. Arriving late will not only make a person lose track of information provided, but also may cause exclusion from some events which are common in school classes. Yeah, satisfying times, not bad. Concerts, for example, or certain shows. If you arrive late, you're simply not allowed into the show. Exclusion is very, very much possible. Exclusion, students, is of course the opposite of inclusion. You're included, inclusion, excluded, exclusion. Those are different word forms. They're antonyms, okay? Include, exclude. All right. Hamad Ali says, depending on the context, sometimes people lose their jobs, lose their trust, and are not considered punctual. Yeah, Hamad, those are definitely consequences. Heba Ahmed says, it can be a disaster if a doctor comes late for a vital operation, for example. Their patient could even die. Finish that sentence, Heba. Their patient could die. Okay. Victor says, it will leave a bad impression on the people who collaborate in the future. Yeah, and Victor, use the question in your answer. You'll get a better band score. So being tardy, the opposite of punctual is tardy. A tardy person is someone who is late. Okay, so punctual, to be on time. Tardy, to be late. All right? So when a person is tardy, they will leave a bad impression on people who they collaborate with. Victor. Rahul Preet, Manga. From my own personal experience, I can say that arriving late at my workstation is critical for a patient's life, as I have to make medical notes for them as well as take strict action to save their lives. Okay, very good. Smit Gohal says, "Oh, lateness in time gives many problems, such as losing a job. For example, my brother was also late for his first day and lost his job." Smit, that sounds like a true story. I feel sorry for your brother, but I'm sure he's learned to be punctual in the future. Juan Pablo says, being late to appointments can compromise the date itself and what it is about. For example, when people are late to their job interviews, it's probably seen as negative behavior and feared to be repeated in the future. Juan Pablo, yeah, I got it. Okay, good. Postpone, Hung, means to put a schedule into the future, into a later time. So postpone is not exactly the same as being tardy, Hung. That's a different word. Okay. So here's my answer. I'll throw one out at you. Here we go. There are numerous negative consequences. Consequences is definitely a good word to remember here. Okay. So there are numerous negative consequences to being tardy, such as losing trust, being excluded, and even getting fired. What I mean is that if a person arrives late to a show, they may find the doors closed, or late to their first day on the job, they may lose their employment. All right. Repeat after me. What are the problems caused by arriving late to scheduled events? There are numerous negative consequences to being tardy, such as losing trust, being excluded, and even getting fired. What I mean is that if a person arrives late to a show, they may find the doors closed, or late to their first day on the job, they may lose their employment. All right. One more time. There are numerous negative consequences to being tardy, such as losing trust, being excluded, and even getting fired. What I mean is that if a person arrives late to a show, they may find the doors closed, or late to their first day on the job, they may lose their employment. Okay? All right. Here we go. Follow-up question. What can be done to minimize these negative consequences? Okay, that's a great little follow-up question. What can be done to minimize these negative consequences? All right. Now, careful, pay attention to the question. Rahul Preet Manga says, to be on the safe side, one must be punctual. If I'm unable to reach a place, I may ask my team leader to provide a backup to my provider till my arrival. Okay, Rahul Preet, the start was a little bit off, but after that you realized that, okay, this is minimizing the consequences, and then you adjusted your answer. to get some backup from your colleague, that's a good answer. That would be a better start. So Rahul Preet Monga, it would be better to start with, if I'm unable to reach a place on time, I can ask a colleague or a team leader to provide backup until I get there. That would be a better start, Rahul Preet. Because here you're not punctual. You're minimizing the damage, all right? Can't read the Chinese characters. I'm sorry about that, but I can read the comment. This is right after satisfying times is here. To decrease these bad effects, using a calendar to record our schedule are useful. Through this method, we can quickly know what we are going to do in the future and also prepare earlier. Again, this question is what can be done to minimize these negative consequences. So the question is not asking what can be done to avoid being late. It's asking, if you are late already, what can you do to minimize the negative impacts? Okay? So careful, students. You have to really pay attention to these part 3 questions. They can be a little bit tricky. Rahul Kamodia, that's a good answer. So pay attention to Rahul's answer. Rahul says, one should always inform in advance if they are about to be late. Okay, that's a good way. It's a great way to start, Rahul. And also apologize for not being on time. Rahul, that's a band 9 answer for this. Throw in something like send a text message, and you'll guarantee that nice high band mark. Let's take Rahul's answer. So a person should always inform the waiting party in advance if they are aware that they will arrive late. And also, you can even throw in like sending a text message. And also apologize once they arrive for making others wait. Okay, that's a good answer. Doesn't have to be overly complex. Sometimes paying careful attention to the question is worth more than focusing on your answer. Oftentimes, students in part 3 focus a lot on their answers, but forget to focus just as much on the questions. Focus on the questions as well. That's why I threw this one in here today. So repeat after me. What can be done to minimize these negative consequences? A person should always inform the waiting party in advance if they are aware that they will arrive late, like sending a short text message, and also apologize once they arrive for making those people wait. I'm going to give you an expression here instead of this. For holding up the event, okay? Holding a person up means you're making them wait. Okay, so that's another way to say this. All right. Alvina says, to be punctual is essential to understand the importance of appointments and the consequences that may occur. Alvina, I think you're off topic there. Okay. Amarjeet says, people should have enthusiasm and excitement for their appointments, and also they should take time management classes so they can save time. Amarjeet, your answer is off topic to this follow-up question, so you would get a lower band score. Okay, students, so hopefully your answers are good and you have good fluency. You're making good use of the interview time, and the examiner continues on with, let's talk about organization. Okay, and then you have another set of questions to listen to and answer. What do people usually keep organized? Why is it good to keep these organized? How have organizational methods improved over the past 10 years? How will they improve in the future? Some people believe that being organized has an impact on thinking. Do you agree with this? How does being disorganized impact thinking? I'll leave these questions for you to do for homework. Record them as an MP3 on your phone or a recording device on your computer, and you can send your MP3 to me at Adrian at aehelp.com, ADRIAN at aehelp.com, and I will gladly give you a rough estimate of your IELTS speaking band score. Again, students, make sure to join us at aehelp.com in our premium course or gieltshelp.com for our general premium IELTS preparation course to get the most benefit. Spend a couple dollars, save yourself time and stress, improve your band scores. Have a great rest of your weekend. Keep up the good work. Much love to all of you. I will be back Wednesday at 15 o'clock with more IELTS live streaming. That's 15 o'clock Wednesday Central European Time. Bye for now.